Now that the Cummins is in the Land Cruiser, there's several small peripheral things I need to take care of, such as changing the oil since it was built from scratch and there's a lot of assembly lube in the oil, reinstalling rubber bushings that were supposed to go in the radiator but weren't and ended up sending the mechanical fan through the radiator and losing all of your coolant and forcing you to drive home with an overheated engine, and figuring out how to get it driving straight down the road. Today I want to look specifically at the radius arms that come with these 80 series from the factory, but these are a little different. I got these from Dustin, the creator of the kit that I purchased, and he had used a hydraulic press in order to bend them at a certain degree and angle. Any of the aftermarket arms such as Slee, Blackhawk, or Delta are going to do similar things in that they adjust your caster to rotate the axle back or the pinion flange down towards the ground in order to give you the optimum amount of caster for your lift. Being that this Land Cruiser is lifted 8 inches in the front and 6 in the rear, it's very difficult to do this anyways. As you can see, I already have drop brackets, but I wanted to see if these radius arms would give me even more caster and improve the drivability down the road. First off, since these were extremely dirty, I wanted to take a wire wheel to them to get off all the gunk, spray them with some brake clean, and then paint them the Cummins beige. Just because it gives it a nice little contrast to all the black parts underneath the engine, and I just love Cummins beige. Now that the radius arms are painted, we're going to remove one of the radius arms. I've done this before with success by using a ratchet strap, going around the middle part of the axle housing, and going back to the transmission cross member. This will ensure that the axle doesn't move forward, and it allows me to take each arm out individually. Alright, this is where it gets a little tricky, obviously removing all 3 bolts to get the old arm out and get ready to put the new one in. I forgot that you really need to get the back bolt through that radius arm on the axle mount, and here you see me kind of contemplating how I did it before to get them to line up. It's so much easier getting that middle one in, which I just secured here, and then I realized that I didn't have the front wheels chocked, so at any point the whole axle could just fly forward with all that sprung weight on it, and I would have a Cummins engine on my chest, so I chocked the wheels. What I decided to do was take the other radius arm mount at the frame off and then use a bottle jack from the radius arm to the frame in order to push the axle down. So to push the pinion angle down like it was giving me more caster. That helped me align the front radius arm to the axle mount bolt going through the hole, and then allowing me to get the one at the frame as well so that that arm, the new one, was completely secured. But then I quickly realized that this wasn't going to happen. I wasn't able to get enough up travel on the frame side of the radius arm in order to get that second bolt through the front of the axle housing. So what I had to do basically was just take off that drop bracket since it's not welded to the frame. This allowed me to get enough purchase on the front side of the axle housing to get that bolt through the radius arm and get a nut threaded just a little bit just so I know it's not going anywhere, and that allowed me ample room on the frame side using the bottle jack again in order to slip the drop bracket back in, bolt it in, and take it for a drive. But before I forget, while I'm down here, I want to adjust my front panhard rod. I have a feeling it might be pulling the driver's side down where the frame mount is, and it could just be in my head, but I'm going to extend it and see if it makes it any better. Unfortunately, I don't have any real information for you this week. I plan on going to Firestone and just getting a readout so I can see where my caster's at. It would have been a good idea to do that beforehand and after. I just haven't had time this week, so definitely did notice a considerable difference on road. There's very little wandering, again, comparatively for a 6-inch lift. We're going to be working on, new sway bar links for the front and rear, and then a custom sway bar extension, basically bracket, that I'm going to weld a gusset in, because the one I have now is just, it blew off some of the bolt heads and it's just not going to work. It bends it, and there's too much force being exerted upon it, so I need to make one that's a little bit stronger. My rear panhard angle is still atrocious, so I need to get that corrected so the back isn't dog walking so much. I'm looking at the Imkeith kit. I do like that it's a two-piece, one being on the axle side, the other being on the frame side, and that it's adjustable from anywhere from 2 to 6 inches of lift. It is a weld-together kit, but the problem is they're out of it right now. I've almost thought about just kind of making my own. Or I could get the Delta, which is just a bolt-in solution. I believe they have the 5-inch in stock right now. It is about $300. The Imkeith is $100, but it's not weld together, so it is pretty easy to install. Comment down below which one you'd like to see me install on a future video, and I'll go with whatever gets the most comments.
Get that thing up to your engine water?
No, not really. That's not even connected anymore. I just put a Cummins in it, so that's too restrictive.
You put a Cummins in this. Which one? 5.9?
5.9, of course, yeah. 12 valve.
That's badass, man. Yeah, well, I heard you. What is that? And I'm like, see your ring. I was like, that's a Toyota, right?